And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. Everton 0, Leicester 2. I mean, again, I've just for previous initially didn't watch the game. Only watched the highlights. Okay, I couldn't manage to watch the game this time. Dan, what do you think of the game overall?
I think we're a bit lucky the way we started. Well, depending on how you, because we had a couple of good chances really early on within the first 3 minutes. Within the first minute, Daka could have scored. But then in like the fifth or sixth minute, Iwobi was through on goal, put one past the post, and if that one goes in, maybe the whole complexion of the game changes. So maybe we're a touch fortunate there, but on the whole, it felt like we had the game kind of under control. We were always a threat, and especially after we scored on the cusp of halftime, then we could kind of play the game at our pace the whole second half.
Yeah, and from what it seemed as well, there's so many times this season it feels like we're getting the title momentum is building. We're turning a corner. Again, just a couple of games before the World Cup, but I take it because of the hole we were in just a month prior. But people like, again, we'll go through individually, but people like Daka, I really like Daka, but again, it's just I've seen him in previous performance where he just misses it, or he's going to be a great player. You see the speed and you can't believe how quick he is at times, but he just that final little bit that he just needs to work on, and I think that will just come there in time.
Yeah. There's just like something just slightly off with his, like, because he scuffed a shot or something, but he makes really intelligent runs. He times his runs really well. He, like you said, he's lightning quick. He gets that finishing to improve, and lethal player for us, hopefully, especially if we keep guys around like Madison and Dewsbury Hall that can feed him the ball.
Yeah, and I'm hoping so as well, that they can actually feed him as well. Ethan's in. Good evening again. Good evening for the Man United again. I know you're going to be tuning in James FC, so it's going to be fun. Man United lost, and Chelsea lost. That should be great fun at a couple of hours or so. Joseph goes, very good match, and I'm hearing so from our perspective. He goes, a truly sensational player, and I think he will be a good player. And considering a lot, I don't know if you were saying thing about speaking to football fans that didn't watch Leicester that closely. They went, "Oh, what's the next?" Leicester will fall down when Vardy goes. Leicester will fall down, and it looks like, and with Iheanacho, I know he didn't feature in this game. Again, that's another discussion for another time in terms of just never gets minutes. And I think with Daka, he does look like you can see in the play like, right, this guy could be the leader for us going forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to be fair, Daka's the beneficiary of a lot of hard work around him. Madison was on it all game. Barnes, he's hot and cold throughout a game, but he created the kind of half chance for Madison that ultimately fell to Daka inside the first minute. So there's going forward, we got a lot of guys that will really, really open up a defense for him, and he's just got to be able to bag them away. He makes good connections and puts shots on goal, and they're going to start finding corners.
Yeah. And speaking of people that can find corners, Harvey Barnes scored in this game again, 86 minutes. I normally do it the other way around, but just because of that, seems like Everton were coming on to us and we hit him with a beautiful counter-attack. And we just, because again, they had to do something to come back into the game. It almost looked, for that goal, for the second goal, it almost looked like the ball, it was like, we've missed an opportunity. And Barnes out of nowhere, maybe that's just confidence and the way the team's playing at the moment. Maybe it's just James Madison with how amazing he's been. We'll talk about him in a second. But that strike from Harvey, he bends it round Pickford. I just thought, like, this is a team and a player who are just in form and have just got confidence oozing.
Yeah. Well, and going forward, especially, Harvey, he had his off moments during the game, but and what is it, like you said, the 86th minute, he's going forward with more gusto than they're going back. They were all looking very leggy, and he was on his game. He was eager to score, and I think that energy that he's bringing to the team going forward that late in the game, I think can only be beneficial. He's gonna create more opportunities for himself going forward, and he's gonna continue to get chances and make more goals just because of how much he wants it more than the other people, more than the defense, more than Everton did in the 86th minute yesterday. So, I I love seeing him get forward. I love seeing him score. I think he's one of our most exciting players.
Yeah, and he is. And the thing is, I think with Barnes, he blows hot and cold, and confidence is such a big key for him. And a key at times where you see him, especially against. I always think Kyle Walker always seems to have him. He just goes, "Yeah, don't knock it past me. I'll be able to sort it out." I think he's coming. I'm just hoping that this form will continue. And there's just sometimes you look at him like, we're not quite on that level. But recently, again, he just needs to. You know how Madison was that player that went into hot and cold form, and he just he seems to have cured that. He just needs to have a word with Madison. Go, what are you doing and what are you eating? And I just need some of that, because if he can continue like that, we'll talk about Madison in a bit, but we'll be talking the same way about James Madison we will be about Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, and Barnes I think the confidence is a big thing for him, and as long as he doesn't get discouraged when he runs up against a guy like a Kyle Walker, because they're the exception. He can skin most people. He doesn't do he's not doing Ronaldo tricks where he's flicking and stuff the ball, but he's like a 1 or 2 touch and knock it past you and just absolutely do you for pace. And or just when he gets a half yard in the box and just rip a ball into the far corner. As long as he keeps doing those things and keeps, even if it doesn't come off every time, keep doing it. It's working. Over the long term, he's getting better and better at those things, and long may continue with him.
Yeah, and again, long may it continue. Another player we're just speaking on again. Glenn puts in the comments again. Make sure you check out Glenn again. Glenn the Foxhole on Twitter. Sometimes you'll see him on Beyond the 90 as well. If you've watched regularly, you'll see him. What confidence does? Yeah, it's crazy to think that what confidence has done. I mean, I listened to BBC Radio Leicester on the post match. They were saying the first 7 games we've conceded 20 goals. Then in the last 7 games we've conceded 3. I can't understand how this works. Like, it's just we've brought in one player and changed a little bit of tactics, and
the set piece coach,
and the set piece coach and Danny Ward's. It's so strange. Yeah. I'm happy, but I think I'm very confused at the same time.
I didn't think ahead about this, and maybe you can pick me up.
My God, how we got to this stage with majority of fans, including you, Ethan, not myself, but a lot of people will say, okay, we'll come back to this a little bit more, but it's kind of epitomized by Danny Ward, but we'll come on to a second. Sorry, I just saw that and thought it was funny.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's hilarious because we were all giving him pelters, and now sing his name. But yeah, sorry, losing where we were at a little bit, but
confidence.
The way the defense is kind of turned around, and what I was going to say was I don't know how it correlates, whether this last number of games. So the last 7, you said we scored 3, or we've given up 3. Does this correlate with Ndidi being out? Like, because he's missed. How many games has he missed?
Oh, he's missed a few now. I'm trying to think. 5? Did he go out injured for Nottingham Forest, maybe? But again, it's considering before this year when Ndidi went out, we're doomed, we're screwed. He's not been looking great this season, and considering, again, we'll go on to another player, Samore. I know he's got his pocket picked, and that's something that he has to get out of his game, because we got lucky. I'm not gonna lie. If Owe puts that away and it's 1-0, I think we still come back into the game. But you can't let them mistakes happen in the Premier League.
I think that's 2 in 2 games too that's happened to him. Sorry to interrupt, but I think he's done something silly like that against Man City too, where either he had a really sloppy back pass or he had his pocket picked. So as much as I want to root for him, he's had a couple of really dodgy little moments while he's back there too. It's just like 1 a game.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you, and I think, but I remember when Ben Chilwell came into the squad, he was giving balls away, and it was just needed that run of games to secure his place, and then he could crash on. And you'll see how much his vision is, his strength is, and also he can whip a ball like Ndidi just can't, unfortunately. But he could just pick a pass, which I thought was really not impressive in this game, but just from previous experiences as well.
Yeah, and I like he's got a little bit more of he fits a better profile that I would like out of a central defensive midfielder than Mendy. And it's not a knock on Mendy. Mendy's really sound on the ball and can tackle. But I like a guy that's he's taller, he's stronger. He can break forward with the ball if he wants. He can carry it through the lines. And like you say, he can ping a ball. But and I agree. If he run a games in the team, and he's really starting to show his quality, albeit with like the one or two ricks that he might have. But the trouble is now that Ndidi's made the appearance, and if he's back fully fit, is there room in the team for Samare? Or it'll be really interesting to see what Rodgers does against West Ham, I guess.
It will be, because Ndidi is still the favourite in my opinion for Rodgers. Rodgers likes his favourites. I think we all know that. And we'll have to see what Ndidi can do, because I think he struggles to get back into the team. And again, he was benched, I think, against Man City. And then I think Mendy came on. They didn't play with the CDM at all. Then Mendy came on at half time. He's using Mendy a little bit more as well. But I think even in some of the comments, people are talking about I get surprising about. But yeah, I kind of, they need to be competent on the ball, spring passes. Mendy and Samori can do that. I wouldn't say Mendy springs passes. I would say he can distribute the wall. He's a very steady Eddie kind of player. I'm not against it, but when you need a team to like go and just we need to go for it, he's not that guy.
Right. And when I remember when Rodgers came in, it was kind of a little bit of a feat for him to get Ndidi to start spraying the ball a bit more. He's not proficient at it, but he was like a station to station ball pass maker. Like he would go, center backs, left back, right back, maybe up to Madison, Tielemans. He wasn't ripping a ball to the right wing to a guy running in behind, things like that, where I think Samari's got more range.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, it says Ethan says, agree with Dan. Evans too look better about both, which is crazy. I'm not there with Evans just yet. Evans is, again, considering, we'll get them all over the place, because there's so many players I want to talk about. Trust me, I've been pulling my hair out doing post matches for the first half of the season because it's the same problems. And there's just so many players I want to go through, and it's so happy that we want to talk about. So we're going from kind of going all over the place, but we've mentioned Dak, we mentioned Barnes. I think the player that you mentioned, again, it took us 12 minutes to get into this, but James Madison, I mean, I just looked at the highlight reel and he's just having fun. He's just picking, and not just having fun where, the sprints he was making for that Harvey Barnes goal, the room to move in. I expected that from Keenan Dewsbury Hall. I didn't know that James Madison had that in his locker. He's just becoming the perfect attacking midfielder.
Well, and in the 93rd minute, like tiptoeing around the Everton defense and in their box, thought he was going to, have another crack at goal like all game long. Shots on goal. Hit the post from outside the box with just inside the box with this crazy whip on the ball. I mean, every ball he takes lately, he's on the half turn. He's looking to attack. He's taking somebody on, and it's just it's what you want to see from your attacking midfielder. I mean, and his energy, his vision. He's looking to Southgate. He's holding up his hands. He's like, I dare you not to pick me. I mean, because he's in better form than pick anybody in England that plays his position. And I know the standard line coming from Southgate or any English pundit is, well, they don't really play with a 10, and I don't think that washes anymore. He's playing off the right so far all this year. He's played as an 8 for Rodgers. I think he's flexible. If Southgate gives him the chance, I think
you say that
player on his hands.
We don't play with the creative player. Mason Mount gets picked all the time. He's just goody two shoes, just like Harry Kane. They get picked regardless, and you can't justify why James Madison isn't ahead of Mason Mount. Even Chelsea fans say he blows hot and cold. He's had a little bit of a purple patch, and he's back to where he is in terms of he is their best creative outlet, but because they've got so little in terms of creativity. I mean, but yeah, that's the South. We were just talking off air about off the call about it, and just for Southgate, he'll just go cool. He'll probably put him in the squad, put him in the 25, but he won't play him that much. He just doesn't like him. I don't know if it's a personality issue because he doesn't like Grealish, and I don't think he likes Trent the same way. And I don't know if it's this. I discussed with Tom when we talked about this, and I go, there's a certain type of character that's like, when everything's going wrong, I'm going to grab the team by the scruff of the neck and I'm going to go for it. Jack Grealish is quite similar, where I don't care what's going to happen. I'm going to try and create something for my team. With Southgate just doesn't like that kind of mentality.
Well, it's weird too that you're picking out players that all played under him, and when he was under 21's coach too, right? Like, does he feel like he's moved on from them a bit, or saw something when they were younger and less mature that's just soured him the whole time? Like he can't look past 19-year-old James Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's much more.
I was going to say James, exactly. It may be the case. But yeah, I think in terms of the stats, I mean, this is just, again, incredible. Until 29, and again, 13 goals, 9 assists, 22 involvements. And again, it's not just some players just pop up with goals and assists and that's it. He's been at the forefront of trying to drag Leicester, kicking and screaming at times, into that first goal, out of nothing, he creates an opportunity as well. So,
yeah, and he's made himself undeniable. Like, so Tielemans' goal that Madison gets the assist on, you can say that's maybe a bit of a silly assist. I don't know, assist stats, people have qualms about them, but
yeah,
Tielemans' goal was ridiculous, and Madison had the wherewithal to compose himself in the box and feed it back to him. So he pops up in all these good areas, and he takes care of the ball and finds people who can score goals. And what do England need more than that, man? They need to score goals.
And just saying that as well in terms of England, Brooklyn. I'm pretty sure Brooklyn's a US fan from the US. But he goes, take Mason Mount over Madison. US will win the group. Wales second. It's probably not as it's not as bad. It's probably more true than you think. I think a lot of England fans necessarily are quite pessimistic, but considering the run we've been on, the thing is, out of the recent test group and thing we had, the Nations League, Madison was the winner because England was so poor and he wasn't included. So I'll take that, because we've talked about this at every single show, and every show I've gone, like, why isn't Madison not been picked? I'm like, your guess is as good as mine. I like him probably more than you because I watch him more. But he was just pulling everything. He's just pulling the strings constantly, and he's just getting better. And I think initially why he wasn't liked was he was doing really dumb stuff like the house party and stuff a couple of years ago. He seems to have just got rid of he's just matured out of that now. And from hearing people that have met him from like clubs around Leicester, and he was a little bit up himself, do you know who I am, blah blah blah, that seems to have kind of fizzled out. I don't know if it is in line with him becoming a father and things like that as well, but that you can just tell from his interviews and things, he's just grown up a little. He's grown up, which is to our benefit.
I was going to say, becoming a father, having a child like that makes you into an adult overnight. And if you don't, you're gonna fail at it. So maybe he's taken on the challenge and really matured himself as a result. So I just love what I'm seeing from him. Like he's not falling all over the place on the pitch. He's just more composed. He's more energetic. He's just matured a lot as a player. And it's just to our benefit that he's dragging us along.
Yeah. And again, we said dragging us along. I think the whole team, again, one player that, again, we mentioned it, I want to go back to him. Danny Ward. I mean, he just had a way of, I wasn't prepared to, and again, the evidence is there. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm so high and mighty. But the evidence is that I'm not prepared to throw him under the bus when the whole defense was a complete mess. He was out of position a few times. Well, 100%. But the arc of just, I think we've had 50 corners and we've not conceded from one. He's coming out and clear it, like gathering balls, which Michael never did. Do I think he's the right manager? Like, if he's the perfect guy to goes forward, no, but I'm super happy considering where we were. And people are talking about, again, Golden Gloves, best keeper on form, again, and what confidence does. I think it's just, I think they're right in terms of that as well. What confidence does, but he just looks like, right, I fit in the team now. And considering, if you remember the Brighton game, if you watched that, and he was shouting at Diddy, they were having a row, and they go, "What the hell? What are you doing? You're useless." No, you're useless. Again, PG version, but you could watch the replay and see what they actually said. That is the same team, and that is the same keeper. you can't recognize them.
Right. And I don't know if you can chalk it up to one thing, but I think there was some tension about several things. There's some tension about several things in the locker room at the start of the year. I mean, Rodgers' position was in doubt. And Didi maybe thought he was moving on at some point. Samari definitely wanted to move on, but I'm glad he stuck around because he's looked better. And the defense, we're the whole club was kind of looking for signings that never happened, and there was a lot of things moving behind the scenes that just never came to fruition, except for, and I'm going to butcher his name and I apologize, Wout Fass. I'm doing my best there, but I chalk it up to signing him and maybe Ndidi coming out of the team for a little bit, needing a little bit of a reset, carrying a little bit of a knock, and the set piece coach, and things are just looking better. But that doesn't really explain how Ward is just he seems sharper. His handling has gotten better. Like he's not fumbling when he gets a chance to catch a ball on a corner, and that stuff might return. Form is temporary, class is permanent. That old saying. But for right now, we're picking up points against teams that we should be picking up points against because he's doing better. Calvert-Lewin had a 1-on-1, and by all rights should have scored, but Ward came flying out. And a 1-on-1. If your keeper can do 1-on-1 saves like that, your confidence is up. You're playing probably as well as you can.
Yeah, and you expect that from a top-tier keeper like Edison, who's very good with his feet and was like rushing out again. I don't think Schmeichel did it in the same way. He would close the position, but he would rely more on his body shape rather than the actual, right, let's go and close down as soon as possible. So I'm not saying that you can still see there's a golfing class, but for how good Ward can be, he's very close to where I've seen Schmeichel been as good as, but he just uses different skills.
Yeah, and Schmeichel would, he's out there like a starfish trying to block everything, making his body as big as possible. But what's that?
Makes him out look silly to the Wembley.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, you're right. I think he's at the peak of his power at the minute, and just as long as we keep picking up points and he keeps making saves, I'm happy for him to be in goal. We might have been looking anywhere else a month and a half ago, but now, like, Rodgers is looking like a genius for keeping him in there, and Ward's looking like he's on par with Ederson.
Yeah, which is insane to say. I don't know what is going on with this club in terms of the complete bipolar nature of the form. I did manage to, again, obviously, Daniel Amati as well, another player. We mentioned we're moving to Walt fast, but Daniel Amati just has this knack of, we know he's not going to start every single game if everybody's fit. He is at the moment, but he's a kind of a squad player, can play in different positions. Him and just Fast have just teamed up and have just looked unmovable, which is so strange. But again, I'm all here for it, considering where we were. Again, just credit to him, and he's just that bit part player come in. And to be fair, I know Evans is not fully fit. He's keeping Evans out of the team.
Well, and he's got some of the skills, some skill set that Evans doesn't really have. Evans is kind of a master of the dark arts, but not super fleet of foot. I think Marty carries more pace. He can recover better. He's a little bit, he can have his moments on the ball like Samare. But I think to be honest, it's a bit of a mystery what's made him turn around. He's a player that, last year nobody would have said we could play him in a 2 even, and him and Wout Fass are just they're running stuff back there, and I'm at a loss for how to explain it, but I'm just glad that it's happening, that it's turned around as quickly as it has.
I'm with you because, again, how he's managed to turn it around, I'm still not quite sure, but I'm really happy that he has. It was a similar thing with, it looks a lot more assured partnership than Suyuncu and Amati, but it's similar kind of role. And I think again, and David puts in as well, credit where credit's due. Rodgers calls for a leader in the team. Here comes Fast again. Many credits given for helping him turn it around, which is true. He's the leader we didn't really have. I think he's just a different kind of leader to Evans. Evans is still a fantastic leader, but I think Walt Fast is just wise beyond 24 years old, which is just crazy.
He's a real similar like profile of player to Soyuncu, you know, like not giant, but really rapid over the ground, pretty confident player on the ball. But yeah, he seems to have a better head about him than the last number of center backs we brought in, which is, you know, to be honest, I'd never heard of him. A little bit surprised that we signed him, and I think we've actually found a diamond here, and the partnership that him and Marty have chalked up. I think it's working well, and why change something that's working so well? Like, if it means Evans has to stay out of the team for now, absolutely, that's the right course of action.
Yeah, and I've just checked as well. In terms of the substitutions, again, Ndidi was on the bench. He decided he actually put Mendy in ahead of Ndidi for this game, which is, I thought, again, Vardy, Albrighton, Iheanacho, Perez, Vestergaard, Mendy, Ndidi, Iverson, Thomas. But considering, again, Ndidi was on the bench, Evans wasn't on the bench, but I think it's kind of a similar scenario with Evans and Ndidi, where they both are. I can't see them fighting their way back into the team just because of how good that back line is. A part of that as well is the wing backs with James Justin and Castagna. I kind of know what I expect for them, but how were they at the weekend?
Well, Castagna is like, he's steady Eddie. Like, I don't feel like he's ever going to let us down over there. Defense. Well, I should amend that a bit. His tracking back was lacking a couple of times against, you know, Man City in the game before. But because Madison was beating him back to do his defensive duties. But that was, you know, so against Everton, he was great. Justin, a little less so. Really, really great defending, less so on the ball. You know, Castagna's kind of picking up that yoke. I mean, he's making us kind of not miss Ricardo. He's doing a lot of work offensively, and with Madison coming in kind of off the right, he's doing a lot of work higher up the pitch than what Justin is, which is fine, because I think Justin's not done so well carrying the ball forward and passing accurately for us. But yeah, I think from a defensive standpoint, like Justin was pretty rock solid. Castagna, a little less so, but still good. Like, obviously, you keep a clean sheet away from home, you can't complain about it.
Yeah, exactly. And the number of clean sheets we have again is incredible, considering we couldn't pronounce clean sheet at the beginning of the season. It just wouldn't happen at all. And dropping a lead was just the new norm. And just was interesting. When just looking at again the average formation, KDH was right up here with Barnes, and then Samore was higher up the pitch than Tielemans. I know Tielemans have been playing that kind of right back role kind of in the back three a little bit more, and it's worked really well, in my opinion. But giving them the freedom to just let the other players going on with it. And then when you need him, that number 8 in Tielemans, I mean, that goal, it's just I watched it and I went, are you serious? Like, that's ridiculous. That's insane. Yeah.
Well, and the positioning is really interesting. I'll just touch on that before we talk about the goal. Earlier on, like last year, maybe even the year before, when they were just getting used to playing together, Madison and Tielemans, I think they would occupy some of the same spaces and kind of crowd each other's game out a bit. Madison would drop deep a lot more, which everybody says, you know, he's a 10, but him coming in off the right has actually allowed Tielemans more space to do his thing in the back line, and Tielemans dropping maybe even a bit deeper has worked good for that too. In terms of the goal, I don't. It's just ridiculous to set yourself up for a volley and then just smash it with perfect technique and dip. I mean, Pickford might as well have been sitting in Wisconsin with me watching the game. He had no chance at that ball, and it was like he was playing. It was like a training ground hit. Like,
Yeah, he might as well have just not looked at the ball as it was going. He might have just looked to the camera and just watch it go in top bins.
Yeah.
Like it was that kind of unbelievable strike. And I think another play again we kind of missed out a little bit. Oh well, another thing I think a couple of people have mentioned, the Samore shuffle or the wiggle. I'm all here for it. I don't know if I'm in that team and that goes in, my arm's going in the air, I'm running over to it. I don't know what about him just went that giggle, that wiggle. I'm all here for that. That was so good.
That was pretty hilarious. Like seconded only by Alan Pardew at Wembley years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that one, which is a very, very different kind of wiggle. Let's see. I did have some comments. I've lost them. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. I think Glenn put one in about the goal wiggle. Samore shuffle. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but sounds like a good one as well. And there was another comment again. And Samore dancing in the Yuri goal.
Yeah.
Apologies if my internet has just decided to go down a little bit. Not sure what's happening. And the only other player that we have to mention is KDH. I mean, KDH did, from what I saw, he's been a little bit. I don't know if the team has all risen, and I don't blame KDH because he's a young player and he's still relatively new to the Premier League. But sometimes that final the work rate is there, and he was smashed into play, and he deserves to start in the team. But sometimes, again, I'm quite happy that he was taken off at 78 minutes. Not because I don't think he's a good player. He's not got a future at Leicester. Just sometimes that final ball, that final where you just need that little bit of quality, it's just lacking that little bit, and that's fine if he can just power through it, and eventually he'll get there.
Right. I agree. He's kind of like he's been off the boil a little bit. It's just he's the kind of player I love to see in a team, homegrown for one thing, and then just runs himself into the ground every game. He's given 100% for the team, and he's shown a lot of quality since he's come into the team defensively going forward. He does pretty well on the ball. Him and Barnes have built a great relationship. I think there's just something not quite right at the minute. He's just going to have to, I hope he does play through it, it's like you say, keep doing the stuff that you need to do, keep doing the small things well, and the more extravagant things are going to come back, just because he hasn't ripped in a goal in a while. He's still making things happen. He's still creating opportunities for himself and for others. It's just, he's not what he was last year, just right this second. Last year he was electric and unexpected. Everybody kind of knows when they walk on the pitch with him what they're getting.
Yeah, and I think it's not a criticism. It's just you'll get there.
Yeah,
I think it's time. I think that's the case. Again, he started the goal for Tillemans. Yeah, I think it's just that slight. Again, it's not a real criticism considering how well everybody has been playing in general, and you can afford to have that. But again, if he isn't having a good game, having somebody like a Dennis Pratt in that position knows what he's doing as well in there could work out. We've got strength and depth, so I think that we are nearly there. I think in general, and
just to be clear, I'm just one more thing on KDH. Like, I'm not saying he's poor or he should be dropped. No. Like, he's been so good since he came in that we're just noticing a bit of a drop off. It's not, he's not crap. I don't want to overstate. It's just we're noticing a little change. And that's a good point. I missed the name on the guy who texted that in, but the ball over the top of Barnes to get that move going that ended up in the Tielemans goal. He's right. It was great. And he's still got lots of quality he's bringing to the team.
Yeah, and it's just, again, these little improvements that you can make, and it will take us on to even more levels than we've currently got. And I think, again, it reminded this game kind of, again, from just watching from the outside, reminded me of the Crystal Palace, the 2-0 that we played again 3 years ago with Vardy doing the flapping eagle celebration. It kind of reminded me of that in terms of Crystal Palace were on to us. Good, they got a good home crowd. We were playing against them. It just with that final thing that we needed didn't quite work out. And again, if anyone remembers I don't want to play it for copyright reasons, but that's Jamie Vardy one as well.
It's iconic.
But again, everything everything in that game just kind of, they were coming on to us. We just, the nice 1-2 balls, and just a lovely passage of play and a lovely finish. And it kind of reminded me of that going back 3 years. So it's like we've got our old Leicester back, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, and we certainly feel more resilient.
Yeah. Prime Brendan Moore. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're you don't feel like we're gonna give one up every second. That every time somebody comes forward with the ball, you don't feel like, oh shit, here we go, we're gonna give one up. So I think there's more resilience, and the way some of these other people have stepped up, like Samari and Amarty, you suddenly feel like there's depth we didn't know we had.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something to be said for that too.
Yeah, and out of kind of not nowhere, but we expect these players to fall off a little bit more. And the one thing, again, I've lost the comment. I'm really sorry. I think Ethan was mentioning about Damari Gray. I asked Charlotte about it on the preview, but he said he was up to his old tricks. You know what he's going to do. Doesn't make the right pass at the right time. Lots of speed, lots of pace, lots of technical ability, but can't really fix it together. Was it kind of similar thing there in this game?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. I didn't watch him as closely as I was watching our guys, but yeah, like you know what you're going to get with him. But he's always kind of lacked the last decision. Like the decision making is what's always cost him, and then as that cost him, with us at least, it kind of kept him out of the team, and which led him to, throw his toys out of the pram, as you guys say.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, with that again, it's kind of was expected. We took the gamble; it didn't work out. But yet again, really happy with again. We're on to the next game, and I think West Ham again. Just coming into the preview, I think West Ham just lost today to Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
So again, coming into that game, that could be another 3 points, and I think one place to end on. Considering I think we were in the relegation zone, and a couple of months ago there was no open site. It looks like we were going down. Considering where we are in the Premier League now, what's nice that we're looking up rather than looking down. So yes, granted, if we lose games and say everybody else wins, then we do go into the relegation zone. But I think now there's a group of there's pretty much everybody up to about Liverpool, 8th position, 5 points ahead. It's all to play for. Liverpool are kind of up and down on form at the moment. Fulham, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Leeds, Aston Villa. Again, Villa are picking up some momentum a little bit, hopefully with Unai Emery. There's a few teams in here that we're not just becoming one of the few teams. Like for example, we're not still on 10 points like Wolves and Nottingham Forest. We're pulling ourselves away, and we're moving up towards the top of the table, towards the middle of the table, which is away from the relegation zone.
Yeah, and the form, just looking at those form on the right hand side there, that's what you want to see. Like we're seeing a lot of people with a lot of losses in the column behind us, and isn't it tight there from 12th down to 18th? Just 3 points separating everybody. It's just madness right now. And you're right. Coming back from the World Cup, if we keep some form going, we could find ourselves well into the top half in short order because of how tight a short a jump that is.
Yeah. And you've got the likes of, us, Liverpool, if they continue their weird form, they could be dragged into that as well. So, and again, Aston Villa look like they might be turning a corner. Again, you're looking at Chelsea, they're only on 21 points, so it's only 2 points ahead of them. So it's not like a massive gap jump up. But again, we're playing some great football, and let's continue this into West Ham, because the way that West Ham are playing at the moment, we could go there and do something, I think.
Yeah. And we need to take this momentum into the break. Like we need to finish this part of the season strong, because especially with how we started, we need to finish as well as we can. And when we come back from the break, everybody hopefully is ready to go again.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping so. Dan, again, it's great to have you on once again. Where can the people find you? I know you got your Twitter just here as well, but where can the people find you?
Yeah, that's just it, man. Find me on Twitter. I'll chat with anybody about football. I love it. So
awesome. Again, the link, I'll put it down below as well, so you can find it there. Make sure to like, subscribe, everybody. Thank you so much. Again, we're picking up form at the time we're going to a bloody World Cup break. I don't understand it either, to be honest. But I'm better late than never. You know, hopefully we can continue this when we come back from the World Cup. We'll probably do some analysis on that during the World Cup break. But yes, make sure you like, subscribe, make sure you go follow Dan, and we'll see everybody for the West Ham preview.